Daniel had always believed that financial problems had one simple solution: earn more money. So that was exactly what he tried to do. He worked longer hours, accepted extra projects, and spent years trying to increase his income. And eventually he succeeded. At 32, Daniel was earning more money than he ever had before. But something didn't make sense. Every month began the same way. His salary arrived, and every month ended the same way. Almost nothing was left. Rent, car payments, food, subscriptions, credit cards, small purchases he barely remembered making. One evening, Daniel sat at his kitchen table staring at another stack of bills. He opened his banking app. His account balance was almost zero. Daniel leaned back in his chair. How can I work this hard and still have nothing? The next afternoon, he met an older man named Robert at a small cafe. Robert had spent most of his life running businesses and investing. Daniel knew he was wealthy, but what surprised him was how simply he lived. Daniel finally asked him a question. What's the secret? How did you make so much money? Robert smiled. You're asking the wrong question. Daniel looked confused. Robert took a notebook and wrote 4 words. Income, expenses, assets, liabilities. Then he said, most people spend their lives trying to increase the first one without understanding the other 3. Daniel looked at the words. Robert continued, tell me what happens when your salary increases. Daniel thought for a moment. I spend a little more. Exactly. Robert explained that earning more money could help, but only if Daniel stopped allowing every increase in income to become an increase in lifestyle. Then Robert gave him a simple challenge. For the next 6 months, don't try to become rich. Just learn where your money goes. That evening, Daniel did something he had avoided for years. He looked at everything. Every subscription, every restaurant bill, every impulse purchase, every debt payment. The numbers surprised him. There wasn't one enormous expense destroying his finances. There were dozens of small decisions. So Daniel started changing them. Not all at once. First, he cancelled subscriptions he barely used. Then he began planning his purchases instead of buying things whenever he wanted them. He created an emergency fund, and every payday he moved part of his money into savings before he had the chance to spend it. A few months later, Daniel returned to Robert. I've saved some money, he said proudly. Robert nodded. Good. Now comes the next lesson. He pointed toward a small tree outside the cafe. If you keep every seed in a box, you'll always have seeds. But if you plant some of them, they have the possibility to grow. Daniel understood what he meant. Saving was important, but Robert wanted him to learn about investing and productive assets as well. Daniel began studying. He learned about diversified long-term investing, retirement accounts, businesses, and the power of compound growth. He didn't put his money into something simply because someone online promised enormous returns. He didn't chase quick riches. He started slowly, month after month, year after year. Some months were difficult. Sometimes unexpected expenses appeared. Sometimes markets fell. And sometimes Daniel wanted to return to his old habits. But he kept going. 5 years later, Daniel wasn't driving the most expensive car in his neighborhood. He didn't own a mansion, and he certainly hadn't become rich overnight. But something much more important had changed. He had no high-interest consumer debt. He had emergency savings. He owned investments that had been growing for years. And for the first time in his adult life, losing one paycheck wouldn't immediately throw his entire life into chaos. One evening, Daniel sat beside a lake watching the sunset. He remembered the question he'd asked Robert years earlier. How did you make so much money? Now he understood why Robert had told him it was the wrong question. The better question was, what am I doing with the money I already have? because earning money can change your income. But learning how to keep it, manage it, and patiently put some of it to work can change your future.